Hello everyone, welcome to episode 66 of this awesome, amazing Osu Let's Play series. In the last episode, I talked about slider aim and how it works and how you can use that to your advantage to aim sliders properly. And in this episode, I want to talk about nerve control. So I think sort of the demon beast of a skill to train. And I have a lot of content out there already about nerve control, but I feel like I would be remiss if I did not make a Let's Play episode about it, so here we are. But before we get started, I'd like to shout out as usual that I live stream every single day over at twitch.tv, so that will be linked in the description. But if you want to hang out with me or watch me play this game live or ask me questions, anything like that, please stop by, say hello. And also bonus points if you tell me that you came from this Let's Play series. We'll be very happy to see you there. It's definitely bonus points, and I do appreciate all the people who do stop by my streams, which typically, by the way, are in the mornings in American time. But yes, with that, let's talk about nerve control. So personally, I split nerve control into 3 different categories. And actually, I have another video talking all about nerve control. Actually, okay, a couple things. So other videos to shout out that I have already discussed nerve control is Osu PhD for one. I think that is sort of the given video where I pretty much talk about everything. But there's that. There's also the Osu University interviews on nerve control, which actually was the first interview series that we did over there. But yes, there is that. And then I also have a video on my channel named Osu Nerve Control 101, something like that. And it's like the 3 categories of nerve control. So definitely please watch those videos. But actually, let me pull up the nerve control. Okay, Osu. Okay, nerve control 101. This is a bit. I typed 1v1. What in the world? Okay, so just as a refresher, for some reason I did not pull this up earlier. So, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I see. Okay, so let's talk about nerve control. So yeah, and also let me play this map. Let's go. This map's so good. Thank you, by the way, Shamrock, for sending this map to me. Like, hey, you should play this map. And I was like, let's go, finger. So, yes. Okay, so as a quick review, nerve control, basically, okay, so the steps that happen when you get nervous. Step 1 is you are not actually thinking about your score at all. And that's sort of the ideal state to be in. And then what happens at some point, you realize that the score is sort of up to your standards. I think usually what gets people to start feeling nervous is that they start being like, oh, this is such a good score, or something like that. And quote-unquote good score, that is very subjective, and that's also, if you can change what good score means to you, then that is actually one way to control your nerves. Like, if your standards for what a good score are like way beyond your actual capabilities, that like you're never gonna get a score that like qualifies for that, then congratulations, you're never going to get nervous, because no score you set will ever qualify for that sort of threshold of, you know, score quality that you would actually get nervous for. But yeah, so basically, okay, I want to make sure I don't mess this up, so I'm going to keep this consistent. Okay, that's right, okay. So step 3 is a review from the 101 video, but this episode is basically like nerve control 1 or 2, so I don't know. But so you come to the realization that the score is actually good. So that is actually independent of getting nervous. Typically, when you do sort of realize that the score is pretty good, then you do pretty much naturally become nervous as well. Although I do separate that into a separate step, because it is actually sort of basically all these categories of nerve control come down to like preventing yourself from moving on to the next step. So yeah, step 3 would be that you actually start getting nervous. And then the 4th step after that is that you actually start playing poorly. So yes, it is possible that you are feeling nervous, but you are not playing poorly. And that's a powerful state to be in, that you're just feeling super nervous, but it does not affect your gameplay at all. And typically how people achieve that is, okay, so the most common thing people do when they're feeling nervous, like they just finished a really good score, or they just choked a really good score and like, oh dude, I was so nervous, no. And then they like take a breather, like sit there, they like, I don't know, chatting with like a friend, typing like, oh, screenshot F12, By the way, press the F12 button to take a screenshot in this game. I feel like I've never actually mentioned that in an episode, but yeah, so my point is that like people often sort of sit there and wait for the nerves to go away, but in reality you want to, okay, so if you want to train playing well despite nerves, then whenever you're nervous you want to practice trying to play well even though you're probably shaking a lot. That will sort of, I don't know, develop your aim control and shake control. That's even really a skill, I guess, that people would probably define shake control and nerve control as pretty similar, but there's a huge mental side to nerve control as well in this game. And I think like the vast majority of the mental side of this game is related to nerve control, I would say. So I've mentioned a lot of things already in the previous videos that I have that I mentioned earlier. I'll try not to repeat too much of the same ideas I did. However, want to review what exactly the steps are to get nervous in case you guys just want to watch this video first, then you're not super lost. But a couple ideas when it comes to nerve control that I think were not really discussed in those other videos. So for one, I think there's this idea of fixed versus growth mindset. I'm pretty sure I have like a stream highlight or something about that, but basically, yeah, and this sort of on the topic of your like pretty much everything about the mental side of this game ties into nerve control one way or another. Like as you change your mindset, even though it might not be necessarily about your mindset of like controlling nerves, it will still affect your nerves and I guess how well you're able to control them, or if you even get them at all. What happened? I see. Is that even a saying? I don't know. You know, anyway. Very interesting miss. I think I like tapped too many times, but anyway. Very nice map, by the way. Wholesome. This artist is very good, by the way. Hopefully this song doesn't get the video blocked in like every country, but you know, it's okay. All right. So yes, fixed versus growth mindset. Let me pick another map before. Banger! So what if I played Masterpiece? Dude, let's go. So fixed mindset basically is the idea that you feel like you basically are just the sum of the cards that are handed to you in life, and you can basically summarize fixed mindset as like you feel like everything is genetics, or you feel like things are not within your control, and like whether or not you improve is sort of up to circumstance rather than like stuff that you can actually change, which by the way is not true, and that leads us to growth mindset. Growth mindset, I feel like I'm like selling you on this or something. This video is sponsored by growth mindset. Growth mindset is all about understanding that you are in control of your own situation and that you don't need to rely on external factors to, I don't know, get what you want, get the results that you want in something, basically, or just sort of grow, develop in general. Hence the name, growth mindset. But I think so understanding growth mindset, and okay, by the way, I did talk about this in the episode about mindset as well, so you check that out. So many videos to just watch. I feel like nerve control is such a big topic that, yeah, I don't know, hopefully there's no complaints that there are just so many videos out there on the topic, but yeah, let's see. So I think I've talked to some other players about this, but on the topic of fixed versus growth mindset, I think there's this idea of playing for scores when you play this game versus playing for improvement. And for some of you that may have like already sort of clicked, but basically if you go into this game, like play a map with the intention of setting a score, then what you're thinking about is going to be whether or not you're holding a good score. And whether or not you're holding a good score is, I don't know, that lends you very easily into thinking about the score that you're currently holding, and that is like the formula for like getting nervous. I feel like sort of thinking about your score, obviously. So ideally you just want to be thinking about the process of what you're doing, or pretty much anything to distract yourself from the score itself. Like sometimes you're just like in a voice call with someone and like not even thinking about the score at all. and then like all of a sudden you like snap back into it, and you're like, wait a minute, I just hit that whole pattern or something like that. It's like, wow, I was so mind blocked in that pattern that I just like hit it mindlessly. But yeah, basically the other side of the spectrum, yeah, so playing for improvement, and I'll talk about a couple of variants of this as well, but basically playing for improvement, then effectively there's no difference between like the first 100 notes of the map and the last 100 notes of the map when it comes to like all your goal really is to, I don't know, just like hit the pattern in front of you. Like if you're just focused on improvement, and if you make scores like the score that you're holding secondary in your mind, like very genuinely secondary and not just like trying to convince yourself that it's secondary, then you will have a much easier time with nerves. And I think also like another thing that controls nerves that's kind of similar is like sort of your quote-unquote reason for like why you're playing this game. I think there's something called like ego playing, basically, where you don't necessarily play for yourself. This is kind of also on the topic of like internal versus external motivations. Like if your motivations for playing this game are external, so they come from, you know, like wanting to get a good score so you can show it to your friends, or I don't know, but basically it's stuff like that, then whenever you're playing this game, everything's going to tie back to like what score am I holding, like will other people think this is a good score, like how many upvotes is this going to get on Reddit or something like that. It's like having all of like thoughts related to that is a very easy way to just get you to only think about the score and the score. While on the other hand, if your motivations are very internal, let's say all you really care about is finger. Wait, this map's so hard. Okay, this map's really hard. I cannot play this while talking. Good map though, very good map. Okay, let me find something to play. Let's see. Cliffhanger, by the way. You guys should join OS University on this little intermission. Okay, whatever I do. Okay, this is banger. Okay, so internal motivation. So if your motivation is like, oh, I just really like the song, I don't care about the score, or I'm just playing to improve, I don't really care about the score, or I'm just playing to pass time, I don't know, anything like that, where basically if your motivation is anything that like doesn't involve like actually like anything that doesn't care about the score that you're actually holding, like if you're playing to pass time, for example, and you pick a 5-minute map, then regardless of if you miss 0 times or 100 times, like the outcome is the same and your goal is going to be achieved no matter what, which is just sort of to pass the time and sort of listen to music and yeah, I don't know, whether or not you're holding a good score is just not really something that matters. Like regardless, you're gonna achieve your goal of passing time basically. So another similar idea that I've sort of been thinking about, especially recently, is playing for total hits. This is actually a really interesting mindset, but it is basically based on the principles that I mentioned earlier, where if you're playing for total hits, then there is absolutely zero difference between the first note and the last note and the middle note and the slow section and the hard section. All that matters is that in the hard section, it's probably more note dense. So you're probably hitting notes faster, in which case it's like, oh yes, hard part, let's go. I get to hit more notes. But I don't know, I think also like depending on your mindset and like how you're thinking about like why you're playing, it actually sort of changes how you read the patterns as well. It like clears your mind kind of, at least in my experience. It's very interesting, but yes, let's see. So okay, I think I can play like 1 more map, maybe 2 more maps. Let's see. Oh, banger. Wait, this is a banger too. So yeah, one thing also, so I guess on a similar topic, me recording these Let's Play episodes, I don't really care about whether or not I'm getting a good score. I really only care about, I don't know, playing through the map and showing you guys. Obviously, it would be nice to get a good score, but if I end up missing, then usually it's just some, I don't know, it's just a moment to feel a little awkward and like, wow, that was a really sad miss. and then you guys will all comment like, ah, yeah, that miss at 15 minutes of the video, that was so sad. That was just tragic disappointment. Okay, not disappointment. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, so okay, back on the topic of nerve control. So some people are just like, okay, also I think some people are naturally more shaky than others when they do get nervous. Or some people like don't even get nervous consciously, but like even if they don't feel nervous at all, they just sort of start shaking when they're holding a decent play. And in those cases, I think doing like a very like deep-rooted like a reworking of like what a full combo means to you, and because usually what happens in those cases, like if you miss earlier in the map, then you're really just not nervous at all, right? But then if you're holding full combo, even if you don't feel nervous, I think just the subconscious thought of a full combo is enough to make you start shaking, and that can actually sometimes be uncontrollable. So my best advice, aside from all the other advice that I have mentioned either in this episode or in previous videos that I've made about nerve control, is to sort of redefine what exactly full combo means to you and like why it means so much. And I don't know, I guess sort of like psych yourself out of the like, I don't know, intensity of like, oh my god, it's a full combo. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna get an S rank and I'm not gonna miss a single note. It's so crazy. This could be my top play. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that's making sense to some people. Just the fact that if you care a lot about whether or not your score is a full combo, even if you don't feel super nervous about like this current full combo that you're holding, it could still be enough to make you feel nervous because you're like, oh my goodness gracious, oh goodness me, I'm holding a full combo. Okay, let's see what else to mention about. Okay, so one thing that I've experienced with nerve control, so usually when I get nervous, my brain kind of like tunnel visions, or like my focus gets really like, I don't know, shafted almost. Like my nervous gets really shot down, and I don't know if I like start shaking as much as I do, sort of like, I end up misreading, I feel like, when I get nervous, but or just like completely not processing certain patterns. Yeah, I think it's my reading that usually dies before my aim or tapping. But some people, okay, so actually one thing about nerves, especially in tournaments, some people mention that they sort of get like increased adrenaline from like, I don't know, actually caring about the match, and I don't know, feeling a little nervous, still like not enough to affect their aim, but enough to sort of give that adrenaline buff and make them probably tap faster or something like that. They can actually play speed a little better. So, you know, sometimes nerves can just be used to your advantage. But yeah, so on the topic of losing focus, I think it all comes down to like, if you're able to sort of apply the tricks, and it's a lot of like active self-talk, like just like talking to yourself in your head like over and over again about like, okay, I'm only playing for total hits, I'm just playing for total hits, I really don't care about the score. I don't know, it's tricky, but being able to actually convince yourself of that in your head is so powerful. Like, actually, so like, it's easy to be like, oh, you know, that doesn't work for me because I can't like, it doesn't work for me if I'm like, if I know I'm just lying to myself. Then I think in that case, then you kind of just have to believe it. I think that's the only other option. Is like, if you really truly like genuinely are just playing for like just for improvement or just for the song, and you don't care about the score and things like that. And good practice for that, to be honest, is like logging off of your account and playing offline, because you'll actually realize, if you've never logged off of your account before, you'll realize just how quickly your like motivations for playing the game and like your mindset towards playing the game change, like just from logging out of your account, because then it completely does not like doesn't revolve around the scores that you're setting. Yeah, it's not about the scores anymore when you've logged out, right? And even right now when I'm playing on Osu Laser, so at the time I'm recording this, Osu Laser does not have score submission. And so any score that I do on this client is not going to submit at all. So it really does not matter. Like if I even SS this map, like it wouldn't show up on the leaderboards, and it never would. So in those cases, yeah, hopefully that sort of makes sense. And something I actually used to do is, okay, I won't find another map because I'm wrapping up quickly, but something I used to do, actually used to play offline a lot. And so whenever I would play offline, that sort of got me in the mindset of like, oh, whatever score I set doesn't matter because it's not even logged in. And then whenever I would log in, then I would think to myself like, okay, one thing I could do is like try to convince myself in my head that I was actually offline still, even though I was logged into my account. But regardless, it's just sometimes I'm just like, oh, you know, even though I'm logged in, like I know I can do a lot better than this. I've done better scores offline or like blah 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 whatever. Like this score doesn't like really matter. I don't know. I just felt like it was a lot easier to get myself in the mindset of like, oh, this score doesn't matter when I was logged out. Or like if I had been playing offline or something like that for a while. So yeah, lots of mental gymnastics you can do regarding nerve control, but definitely please check out the other videos that I mentioned throughout this episode. Those will all be linked in the description, but I appreciate you guys all watching all the way to the end. Hopefully you learned something new, and any of the topics that I mentioned in this episode, like internal versus external motivation, and I don't think ego playing is really, I don't know, maybe it's actually a term, but what's the other one? A fixed versus growth mindset. Like any of those stuff, you're more than welcome to do a bit of a deep dive on the internet of your own, because those are actual terms that if you're interested in stuff like that, you can definitely learn about. But yeah, with that, thank you guys for watching. If you have suggestions for future episodes, please do leave them in the comments because I do read all the comments on these videos. But yeah, if you, wait, let's see, if you are watching in the future, do please check out my channel, watch my future videos because I upload these every single day. And also stop by my Twitch streams because I don't say it for nothing. I would be very happy to have all of you guys stop by, say hello, hang out with me. But yes, with that, I'll see you guys next time.